Welcome, everybody. I'm going to do it today. We are number 10 on the Community Conversations podcast. It wouldn't be right if we didn't acknowledge it, would it? And yeah, it's fabulous. We were just having a discussion just now on all the topics that we've already discussed over 9 episodes, which is a lot, really, considering it's quite a niche, I suppose, topic, really, about who we are and what we do and why we're here and what we're passionate about. So I thought it would be curious today to just go to our friend Google and see what Google felt, because Google is all seeing, all knowing, as we know. What they felt was the kind of the key components to a community. These varied slightly, but they came up with like 7 key components of what a strong community is. And as I was reading them, I kind of was like, oh, well, we do that, we are that, yep, we're there, we do. So I'm just keen to kind of put them out there, hear your thoughts, Ryan, obviously, as well as what you think. And then if anybody else is out there listening, I'd love to hear and have their input on the subject. So the first thing that they're talking about being the top key component to a strong community would be passion. And I think with most things, we wouldn't actually be here if we didn't have the passion and the love and the wanting to do all that we do, right? So I'm passionate that is a strong component of a community. You know, we show up for a reason, and that's usually something or a subject that we're really passionate about and wanting to share with other people.
And
I think just to add to that, I think so often running this community, there will be moments where you're tired, your energy's low, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices, time, energy. Maybe it's like out of your comfort zone. And I think if you're not passionate about it, you've not got a reason to keep going and doing the bits that just get you beyond the pit where, do you know what, today I don't want to.
Absolutely. And it's digging into that, isn't it? I think that, like you said, then lifts you. I know there's definitely been moments where you and I both have gone and surrounded ourselves with the community in those kind of moments, and we'll always reflect afterwards on how we're now feeling to how we were feeling perhaps at the start of like an event or a gathering or something like that, or a conversation. So yeah, I think it's highly important that we're passionate about it, but the people that we're bringing into the community as well are showcasing their passions for all that they do as well.
There's an energy to passion, isn't there? You know, I joined Esther on her podcast yesterday, and you know, one of my kind of final reflections was much in line with the human design profiles that her and I both have, which is projector, which is, you know, we're not great at trying to sell our stuff to people. So my advice was to anyone that leads with that energy is about sending out like a Batman signal, sending out a frequency that, you know, and that for me, that is the passion. You know, it's the heart song, it is the frequency of passion. And then as a community, what you're doing is you're basically a beacon of light for those who need that frequency. You're basically putting it out.
Yeah, sort of moth to flame kind of thing.
I was thinking about that. Ow! I was thinking about the old Bug's Life type.
Yeah.
It's that. The passion is the beacon so that people can find you. That's the first bit, right? How can people belong to your community if they can't find you to begin with?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that sharing and that exchange of the energy which kind of then builds the fire, builds the passion for more, I feel. So right. Yeah, I think we could probably do a whole podcast just around passion and how we build our community on that. But
I think it's really important as well, because if someone has a passion, right? And I remember reading a book around marketing. It's like if you've got a real passion for spud guns, like show up with that passion for that. And you won't attract everybody, because not everybody has a passion for that. You will attract the people who have a passion.
You do.
And that's so when we talk about like-minded, like-hearted, the only way to attract those people are to fully be that person. If that's your passion, be that person, and then you will attract others, and you'll give everyone the fullest permission to go, I love me a spud gun too.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, exactly.
It reinforces this sense of identity, isn't it? It reinforces this is who we are.
Yes, 100%. And a good way that we do that, obviously, like we met up earlier today and we both showed up in our our little heart jumpers, you know. And as we've mentioned before, when we've been out and about in the wider community, that heart is now being recognized, and people are now associating all that we are and all that we do with that blue heart. And I just think that is just another way, another extension of that passion, you know, and the passion and also pride, I suppose you could say, that we have in when we're going out and we're wearing this, you know. We are constantly showing everybody out there, this is who we are, and this is what we do, and this is what we love, you know. Come join us if you want to, you know. Yeah, super important area of it, I really think. And I think they put it number one because it's like the Kickstarter, I think, the Kickstarter to it all.
Inside Out.
Yeah. And then they've brought in at number two, vision, which, yeah, I can understand. I guess you have to have a vision of what it is that you're or wanting to bring to the world, right? And that comes through the passion, I'm guessing. It kind of leads on quite nicely. You need to have a vision of what it is that you're looking to bring to the world and the people that you're looking to bring together. And I think when people join a community, they're kind of wanting to know where it's kind of going to go, what to expect, what kind of content and things that they're gonna get from you, and how they can get involved. And I feel for our community, I feel like we do provide like this it is quite constant, really. They're getting nice little bits of information constantly kind of provided for them to kind of soak up, take in, take on, and also participate with as well. And obviously you have the different streams of the podcast and all the wonderful guests and things that we bring into the community as well.
I think what the word vision represents is it gives a nod of the hat to who we are as people, which is we're manifestation beings. I was talking to Esther about this yesterday. Like, as a technology, as a group of people, like everything of this material world was a spirit, was a thought, and I think a vision is a spirit. I think a vision is a spiritual thing, because you can have a vision that I maybe don't have. So you're tapping into something not of this world that is unique to your vision and your ability to receive that possibility of the way things could be that maybe I don't. And obviously you and I can get together and you can have people with similar visions, and then you share that and you refine it and you can have a collective vision. But someone first has to engage with the spiritual nature of that vision. And, you know, for me, I know a big thing on your heart is to have this table, this long table of, I don't have that vision.
Yeah.
And guess what? For it to become a manifestation in this material world, guess what has to happen? You have to partner with that vision. That's why vision is important to community, I think, because if you want to build a community, the vision is a core component as to, well, what is it that I'm building?
Yeah.
What are we building towards? How do I know?
Yeah. And there's that whole, and that's made me think of the whole that's like the quote, isn't it? I think it's from the movie, like the baseball movie, where they say, if you build it, they will come. And I think that's the whole part of the vision as well. If you can see it, you can build it, and people are going to come and want to be like a part of it. So yeah.
The interesting thing is as well is not getting too off topic, but you don't want everybody around that table. You know, there's a bit, I guess, that where if you build it, they will come. It's the right people, right being a subjective judgment. But
again, it then brings it back to the energy that you're putting into the vision and putting out and sharing, that is going to bring the right people into the space. Yeah, and I think we need to add energy in here, maybe as another for us in terms of our community. I think energy exchange needs to be definitely a part of that. Next, they've got a leader, which most communities do have. In this case, it would be your beautiful face.
Oh, that'd be me.
Yeah, that's you. Hello. You know, obviously, again, people now refer, as far as I'm aware, as always better than yesterday, associating it with you, which rightly should be the case, you know. And with you showing up the way that you do and leading in the way that you do in the community gives everybody, I think, like this safety and a security of knowing that they're consistently going to have this person that thinks these things, feels these things, leads this way. And that's what draws them in and keeps them there, and like working with you, experiencing you, seeing the way that you lead and help others lead. Like just, I can't think of the right words that I'm trying to say, but I think that's what then, seeing you in action, I think, and what you're doing is what then brings other people into the space. You know, like for example, then like myself as like the community manager, seeing you show up and do what you do allows me to also then go out and explain what always better than yesterday is, and this is the experience that you're going to get from coming and being in this community. This is who you'll see, you know. And I think that's really important as well, that they know that they're going to get to experience you in the community, because in some of these bigger groups and organizations, you see the face or the CEO or whichever, you don't actually get to always know them. Do you know what I mean? Or walk alongside them. And I think for me, that's the leadership part here that they're talking about. I think that's what's really important, is that actually you are a part of the community.
Yeah. In my past, I'd have been terribly humble and I'd have been like, oh, no. But like, I'll accept what you said, and I appreciate that, because there's a paradox, right? There's a, and I've shared this before. I think I was talking to Heather Parody, is that when I started this community, it was absolutely about me. What do I mean by that? I mean that I had to, my passion, right? We just talked about my passion, my vision. I had to have a passion and a vision that was uniquely given to me. But when I'm putting the word we at the very start of the community, it then flips to being absolutely nothing to do with me. It becomes about we and us. And it's just a paradox, right? Both are true. It's absolutely about me. It's nothing to do with me. And I'm okay with both being true, right? So long as they're equally balanced. And I think if it becomes more about me, then I'm not doing you a service. And it becomes more about other people, then they're like, well, what's this all about? Where are we really going? Where are we really headed? And I think for me, if I just qualify what I think it means to be a leader, it means to be a servant. It means that if I'm the leader of this community, I am a servant to everybody that chooses to spend their time within our community. So what, 922 people within this, and now best part of 1,500 YouTube subscribers. So anybody that chooses to spend time with us, I have a responsibility. My heart is to serve, not to be the one that's on a pedestal and get the glory of being a leader, but to be the one willing to love, serve, and sacrifice for the benefit of the community. And I think that does two things that are really important with leadership, is that if you think leadership is, you talk about vision, right? It's where we are versus where we're headed.
Yep.
And this bridge is filled with uncertainty. And uncertainty for most people is filled with fear and that flinch response of, So the purpose of leadership is like, do I create the conditions for you to feel safe enough or inspired enough to follow me across this bridge?
Yeah.
And the best way I could do that is not by, saying I'm a coach and I've got 6 qualifications and I've got all these things. Like you say, it's about embodying it. It's about being.
I was going to say about being there. For me, that's you saying, right, well, this is the bridge. But come on, not like I'll hold your hand, but I'm there, and this is what we can do to get you across. That's the way
Paradoxically, I think I've inspired more people through my weaknesses and my vulnerability more than my successes.
Because people can connect to that. Way more people can connect to that.
Right. True perfection has to be imperfect, right? If you are perfect, guess what? You're in a club of one, and nobody gets to relate to you. Ain't nobody relating to, because it's unobtainable. And so if you want to relate to people, I think we were talking about this in the WhatsApp chat day or so, is that like no one wants to really be truly perfect, because if you do, you won't have anyone else to relate to.
Exactly that. So thank you for leading this community. Welcome.
Allowing me to.
That's all right. Then they go on to talk about tribesmen, and I think by this they mean the members of the community. I would kind of see myself as a tribesman.
Yes, and what is the symbol of a tribe?
of bringing people together.
Well, yeah, but what I mean, the quite literal
Oh,
symbol is your willingness
yes,
to
yeah,
share the tribe.
yeah, and that's how I kind of see my role a little bit. I was thinking about it, like, well, what does tribesman mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's this of, we're in the community, we believe in the community, we believe in sharing the vision, and therefore we're gonna go out there and live it, for one, be it, like you were just saying, and show others like what is possible. I think that's how I've kind of sort of seen my journey with Always Better Than Yesterday, is like, if I show up and I can do all these things, then oh my goodness, I could certainly help at least one other person do exactly the same, right? So as tribesmen, we're kind of like, I don't
We
know.
need to say tribes people before we get cancelled.
Probably. People. Hopefully everyone understands what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Being a woman saying tribesman, you hopefully, yeah. I guess we're like, I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but
advocates.
Yeah, that's a good word.
I see it as two things, right? You could be a tribes person within the tribe, and then and then outside the tribe. And I think the thing I've always tried to do with this community is enable people to share their gifts and skills with each other, right? The value of this community is not just me; it's the it's the sharing, and I think that's what a tribe would have done in the past, right? Sharing of resources,
skills, and everything like that. Yeah.
Right, and then your worth and your value isn't a question; it's just obvious. This is what I have. This is what I bring. And in bringing that, I receive the gift and that you've got to give me, and it's a wonderful, beautiful exchange, like the flower and the bee, right? It's a synergy. It's built into the system, right? And I think days of old would have felt a bit more natural for that to have happened.
Yes.
And then the second bit is about sending people out. Sending people out with the spirit of our community.
Yes.
So I heard something recently about the church. This pastor talked about how he visualizes the three phases of the church, and not all the churches get to the end, which is why they probably struggle. Phase one is about church being a hospital. It's about a hospital for the broken people. They end up going to a hospital, going to church in some kind of broken state, and they find healing, right? That then transitions the hospital to becoming a family, finding a place of belonging. He says, but most churches never get to the final stage. They generally stay there as a broken family. He says, but the true purpose of a church and his role as a pastor is to get the church family to become an army. It's about doing the work inside the church to send people out and do, like Jesus would have done, send people out, his disciples, send people out. And I think that metaphor, whilst I'm not trying to make it a religious thing, is the same thing for us here, right? People come to us because they resonate with this idea of wanting to love themselves more, love other people more, find their gifts, their skills, their talent, whatever it is. There's this, I believe that there's more to me. I'm not quite sure what it is. Help me.
Yeah.
They find a community of like-hearted, like-minded people where they belong. And then what we do is we transition them to go, right, now go and do your heart work.
Yeah.
Once you find your heart set, once you're clear on your heart work, go out. Like, don't just spend all your time here with us. Take that and go and be the heart print. Go and use your heart work. And those three phases for me really epitomize what a great community will do. Is it'll take people, give them a place to belong, and then send them out to go and do what they're here to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And that in turn keeps growing the community, doesn't it? Because then people are seeing the good work that's going on, and then they're intrigued, oh, how do I do that? And so the cycle hopefully continues,
Right.
By spreading that hard work and that love out. Yeah, I love that. Next they go on to talk about content, which I think we're very, very good with. I think our content definitely reflects all that we're about and gives people, I think, plenty to ponder on and consider and contribute to. I mean, we would always love, as always, for everyone to share more with us. That's what I would love to see more of, if anything, in this community, is everyone really sharing their gifts and talents with us, even more than what they already do. But in terms of what I think we share and we provide is really very, really very good. It just is. You know, I think now we're at a point where something goes out, we could put it out anywhere and people would be able to go, oh, that's something from Always Better Than Yesterday, you know, or that links to Always Better Than Yesterday. Or, you know, like when we get people share stuff with us, they share it with us because they know it reflects our vision and our passions and everything that we're putting out. So I think we've got to a really good place with that.
I'd love to take a different spin at the word content. You know, I like to play on words, and content, you know, as a spirit of the heart, not content with our social media, but our content spirit of the heart. And I shared something, I think, last year, which says that everyone's doing content marketing, but not everyone is content marketing. And what I mean by that is so many people have an attachment to needing something as a result. And I think one of the things that I really try and get into the spirit of is the spirit of sharing with no needs attached. You know, because there are days when you put some stuff into the community and doesn't bite, doesn't create engagement, and it's just like, what? And that lack of content creates suffering, right? And for me, it's about coming to this community with a loving spirit, serving from the overflow. When I didn't have anything to give, I've actually learned the wisdom to go, do you know what? I'm not serving from the overflow right now.
Today. Yeah.
And the wisdom in me, like, so 5 years ago, Knucklehead Ryan would have just still showed up anyway, and he probably would have gone to the community for the validation that he was lacking in his private life. Whereas now I'm like, I need to go to this community content, lacking nothing, having all that I need, and therefore every act becomes a gift, without expectation, without need of anything in return. And I think that's important for anyone that's building a community. Is sometimes expectations are great because you build great things, but sometimes expectations can lead to suffering, and treat everything like a gift, and sometimes that leaves space for the wonderful ripple effect of miracles to come back your way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. The next thing that they're suggesting to be a key component of a strong community is the platform or the gathering space. And now I suppose my question to you in that would be, what made you choose? Obviously we've gone onto Instagram and YouTube and things since, but what brought you to the Facebook space, I guess, that you thought that was the place to start growing the community?
You want my honest answer?
I know. Always.
So this coincided with a pretty much dark time in my life where I was being severely judged for my outward social media profile. So I'd love to give you a lovely, nice little story about how I thought. I went underground. I created this private space where no prying eye from my policing days could come and see what I was up to. And that created the freedom, the safety, and the trust for me to be my authentic self. That was the most important thing, right? Wherever we were, didn't really matter. It just happened to be Facebook. But it gave me the freedom and the permission as a community leader to be truly authentic. And I think that's the most important thing. I think the platform, whether it's Mighty Networks, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whether it's a coffee shop, whatever it is, freedom and permission to be fully yourself is the most powerful thing, because I think it gives everybody else the freedom and permission.
Yeah, so their last point actually is trust, which is what you've just mentioned, so that's quite interesting. And I would see it as you've just described it. It's that it's trusting that you can show up as yourself.
Yeah, it's not trust if I say this, you do that.
No,
it's that, okay, I'm going to stroke this dog and it ain't going to bite me.
Yeah, like that you can come here to this space, wherever this space is, whether it's here online or whether it's in person with us, and you can just turn up, as you and I have both even done various times, you know, just as we are in that moment at that time, and know that those other people there are going to hold us, and they're going to listen, and they're going to be non-judgmental, and they're going to give us the energy and the inputs that we need at that time, whether that's a full-on boost up or just to leave us sat there in silence to take in whatever it is we need to take in from that space. It's trusting that those spaces and those people are going to allow us to do that, I think is really very important. And I'd probably, in that way, probably bump that up the list a bit more, you know, as well. I think it's vital, isn't it? So many things.
So I'm about to interview Patrick Lencioni, and he's very well known in the leadership space, particularly the corporate leadership space. And one of his famous models is a pyramid, and it's about 5 dysfunctions of a team. And he says that generally, like, you can look at it 2 ways. Like, dysfunctional teams have some characteristics, or healthy teams avoid some of the. And he says dysfunctional teams have an absence of trust. Uh, and then what the absence, so he basically puts it at the founding bit of the pyramid. And he says if you don't have trust, then you aren't able to have productive conflict. And if you aren't able to have productive conflict because you're not, fearing for your own psychological safety, or your place and your belonging in the tribe, he says then you never get to a state of commitment. And if you're not able to get to a state of commitment, well, then you don't actually hold each other accountable to the group, and therefore you're never going to realize the goal of the team to begin with. So he sets it out as this wonderful model that everyone's focusing, is the goal, is the goal. But actually, the reality of the pyramid model is that you're not going to get the goal if you don't get the foundations in place. And I look forward to the day where, these models are wrapped with, well, actually, it's the presence of love and heart that creates.
Yes.
Yeah. That day will come.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's this different language, isn't it, that a lot of people aren't quite ready to kind of embrace just yet. But maybe it's because they haven't experienced it that they can't embrace it.
Right. Okay. Yes, is it safety, vulnerability? And that's so. I'm part of a little networking group on a Tuesday now, and so the guy in the first, he sort of had his like 6-month kind of plan of how to break into this group, get some vulnerability, and obviously he didn't realize that Ryan Hartley was sat in the group.
You're like, hold up, let's go.
Yeah, it's a fine balance, it's a fine balance to be truly authentic and heart-centered, but without being like vulnerability share, and trying to navigate that balance. And I haven't always got the balance right in my life, but that's what, keep moving forward and learn, and wisdom,
and why we have everyone around us that we have around us to help
right.
Continuing guidance and support that we all, we're not here to say that this is the way, is it, or
a way.
It's a
way.
It's a way,
and we invite people on that path. So we got loads of comments on their Facebook live streams. Bethan says, "Hey." Shay McMaster says, "What up, guys?" Claire says, "Hey." Shay says the film was called Field of Dreams.
That's the one. Yeah, good old Kevin Costner. That's it.
Claire says, "It's something you feel, something you can't explain. You've got to go and experience it to feel it." I imagine that's our community.
Yeah.
She's given me some kind comments about my leadership, which I'm not going to speak out loud.
I'm going to go read those. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I'd love to know as well. That's the last of the Google suggestions, but if anybody that's listening or watching thinks that there's anything else particularly that sits well with either our community or other communities that they are a part of, it'd be really interesting to hear that.
Love that. One thing, obviously, I've just shared a pyramid model, and one of the other pyramid models I shared with our good friend Jason is about it was almost like the levels of leadership, right? I think the lowest form of leadership at the bottom of the pyramid is people follow us because they have to, for some reason, I've got a position, I've got a title, I'm your boss, just do as I say. Lowest form of leadership, you do as I say only because of my title, right? There's no leadership, there's no influence. That's the only way I influence you is by using my power over you. The next level is like, this guy's got some really good results. I don't really like him, but he seems to be successful, so I'll just take his word for it. I'll take his advice. He's a bit of a dick, but he seems to be doing all right. So maybe I'll just copy and or maybe I'll do as he tells me to. Right? That's a little bit higher than just do as you're told.
Yeah.
But the greatest form of leadership is to follow people based on who they are. And I think when you lead, this is what sets the context for heart set. When you really connect with your heart, you know who you are, and leadership is you just embody that. It becomes the expression of who you say you are in any given moment, right? And I think that's the most powerful thing, right? We got 2,000 years later, people follow a guy that walked around in sandals, and he lived for 33 years. So his ministry was only a very, very short time, and yet here we are. Why? People follow who he was as a human being. And that goes the same with many of the great leaders throughout all of time, is that we give them the permission to lead. We become willful followers because of who they are, and I think that's really powerful, and I think the same is true of our children. Sometimes if we look at our own parenting, the worst version of our parenting is when we say, just do as your dad says. The best version of my parenting is when my children copy my example, when they just sit down and they read, or they want, because they see dad read it,
Mm,
or they'll have some nice food, or like we were
mm,
talking about earlier, when everyone just sits down meal times together.
yeah.
And that's the embodiment of leadership, yeah. But
Mm,
it doesn't feel like leadership because it's from who we are.
yes.
It's not monkey say monkey do, it's monkey see monkey do.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we lose sight of that. And thank you for acknowledging the impact that I may have on you, but
Mm,
equally anybody listening are
mm,
doing the same. That's the whole idea of Heartprint. Every contact
mm,
leaves a trace,
absolutely.
whether you're aware of it or not.
Yeah, and like so what just came up for me then is I was just thinking, if for some reason anybody listening to this, I mean, majority of the people here get and understand who we are and what we do, but if you are unsure as to how you get to this point that we're talking about of being this leader and leading from this kind of space, I would just urge you to reach out and have a conversation, and
Mm.
again, get to understand and experience what being always better than yesterday is all about.
I'll have to get you onto the booking calendar, wouldn't I, really? Just abty.co.uk/connect. I'll have to add Abbie's calendar there too, so people can start
Yeah, that would be
jumping onto
great.
your calendar for connection calls. Let's follow up and
Yeah,
let's think about that. And
yeah, we will do. We will do. But yeah, that's really cool. If anyone's got any other questions or anything, please make sure you reach out to either of us about that. That would be awesome. We'll check in and follow up with your comments and everything today on the Facebook post. Give us all the likes and everything over on YouTube. And yeah, hopefully we'll get to speak to you again next month. That'd be great.
love it. Thank you for hosting.
No problem. Thanks for being here.